Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hi, it's Guy Sakalakis with Attorney Sync, and my interesting fact today is that I started rowing. You ever do any
Are
rowing,
you
Jeff?
enjoying rowing?
I'm getting old, Jeff, and when I run too
Aren't we all?
much, yes, I've got to cut back on running because it's really hurting my lower extremities. And I know people as they're listening will say, you got to get new shoes. I've tried. The rowing is a great exercise and it doesn't have high impact.
It's true. It's good. Great cardio.
Great cardio. Got to keep that heart strong.
Got to. Okay. I'm Jeff Berman, head of growth. My interesting fact is I'm very excited that my younger two kids are going back to school end of this week.
Oh, man.
Love
That's a
having them
good
around for the
one.
summer, but the routines are very nice to have in place. They need a little more stimulation. Get them socializing again. You know what I mean?
Totally. Structure, habits, and,
Structure, habits.
it's also good for me, at least. I need structure and habits. And I'll tell you what really throws off my structure and habits are my son and daughter.
Yes. Same.
But we love them
Same.
so much. As we
Best.
as we mentioned, Jeff and Guy, we're co-founders at Attorney Sync. We help law firms hit growth goals using data. Before we get into what we're going to talk about today, another friendly reminder: Lunch Hour Legal Marketing Summit. Jeff, you will be in Las Vegas on
I'll be
September
there.
22nd. I
I'm
will be
excited.
there. Yes. Lots of Attorney Sync team members will be there. So if you want to meet Attorney Sync team members, get to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing Summit. Early bird tickets actually end on August 22nd, which is 3 days from now, this Friday. Say
Coming up.
Tuesday. Coming up. Get your tickets. Running out of tickets. Another friendly reminder, partnership with Near Media. We are offering it to our existing clients first crack at it. And we'll be opening up that to a wider audience as we have opening geographies coming up here. You can also learn more about that at Lunch Hour Legal Marketing Summit because we are grateful that David Mim from Near Media will be joining us to talk about that research partnership and really just so many good. I posted on LinkedIn today, but so many good insights come out of that. You want to know what consumers think about when they're thinking about hiring personal injury lawyers. It's specific to personal injury lawyers, so we should clarify that, but it's really valuable stuff, and check that out. All right, so enough about our updates. Today, as we love to do, Jeff is going to share a story about a law firm that he spoke with, but the title of this conversation we're going to call Stop Buying What They're Selling and Start Buying What You Need. Jeff, tell us about who you talked to and what you talked about.
Yeah. Yes. Get people getting stuck on a channel or an offering,
Stuck on
right?
a
That's what keeps happening. So in this case, we had a firm. They've actually been around for a while, referral based marketing, and really built the firm on the backbone of that. So admittedly, they said they haven't done really any kind of digital marketing. So they came in saying, we need SEO. Jeff, can you help us with our SEO? So I took a step back and started breaking things down. This is a firm, just for some context, doing 2.5 to 3 million a year in revenue. Guy, what do you say is that magic kind of thinking in terms of percent of what that should be allocated towards marketing with that kind of revenue?
Well, if you twist my arm, I say 10%. We
Okay.
see a lot of
Okay.
firms that are undercapitalizing under 10%. And if you're incremental growth firm and aggressive growth mode, you're going to be over 10%, but we'll say 10% for purposes of this conversation.
10%. So 250K if you're rounding out in terms of what should be invested. In fact, a large part of the reason he reached out was because their CFO was like, you really need to start spending some more money on marketing. You have it to spend, you should start spending some more money. So he came in and said, Jeff, I need SEO. That's what I need. So we started to peel back the layers, right? We started to get a sense of what are you trying to have happen? What kind of time frame? I'd like leads. This is my goals for the year. These are leads I want. We took a look at what's currently going on. As I mentioned, not a lot of digital marketing. As far as
Round
Google and
zero.
search engines were concerned, yeah, this is a new site. This is a new site, right? Maybe it's a couple of years old, but nothing been done to really help market the site at this point. So I started trying to get a better understanding of why SEO. What's going on with that? Oh, had friends tell me SEO, and that's what I read about. So that's what I want. And as I peeled it back, I was like, look, I actually don't think SEO is the best fit for you, right? What are you looking to spend? What do you want to get into this? I really want to spend 3 or 4 thousand a month. Let me tell you, just out the gates, even if I thought SEO was the best fit for it, that campaign would have been way undercapitalized. And I told them that. I said, if you put that in, I think you're basically setting your money on fire because nothing's really going to come out of that. And let's say we do capitalize this appropriately. Are you cool investing in this and really not seeing much of a return for 12 to 18 months from now? No, absolutely not. I'm definitely not putting that much in and then gonna wait that long to see something back out. Then I told him I don't think SEO is gonna be the best fit for you, and we really wound up going down a different track in terms of here's some different advertising campaigns I think we should do. Here's how we should frame it, and I tried to give him a little bit more context in terms of what I thought would actually be a good fit. The thing that resonated for me, he told me, "You're one I've talked to, I think, 4 different agencies. You're the only one so far that has advised me and or really not just given me, here's the pricing for our SEO service." This isn't a one-off gig. I've talked to these people where they keep getting shoveled whatever it is that the agency does instead of getting advised where, yeah, this might be a really good fit for you, but have you considered these other types of channels that'll realize the outcomes you're looking for in a much better, more efficient way, et cetera? I think it's one of those instances where I just don't think the agency and what they're offering in every case is always aligned with what's actually best for the law firm. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that kind of thing?
Yeah, man, we see it all the time. I'm in a bunch of these private communities of lawyers, Slack, Facebook, and someone will say, "Who do you like for SEO?" And I always try to say, you want to be, I try to be as generous and judicious with seeking to understand. What I've been coming to people with is, why do you think you need SEO? Like, what is it? And usually the answer is, like you had mentioned in this instant case, my friends are buying SEO. I saw an ad for SEO. And again, empathy first. People probably think of Attorney Sync as an SEO agency, right? We do SEO. And so it's people that are listening to this are like, of course they're asking for SEO. They got your name, or they saw you guys talk, or they saw an ad or whatever it was. And it looks like you went to the website. The website says you do SEO. So of course we're asking for SEO. And there's some of that in there, right? It's not
Mhm.
surprising. But to your point, SEO companies are going to sell you SEO whether you need it or not. And in fact, I was
Exactly.
talking to an agency owner recently, and this agency owners, we were talking about AI and our approaches to generative AI and at the intersection of SEO and AI and AIOs and ChatGPT and all this stuff. And he's, look, man, people are coming asking for this AI stuff, and I'm like, I'm like, what are you selling them? He's like, selling them what they want. And I'm like, how are you connecting this to business metrics like cost per acquisition and cases, and how you do handling attribution? Because there's all sorts of, and our episode is, or
Yeah.
conversation isn't about that today, but there's a lot of issues there. We're not doing any of that. So I'm like, you're just giving them what they want. They came, and I'm empathetic to this agency as well, because you know what I think about? It's like the patients that go into their doctor and they're like, oh, I saw this
Yes.
ad for this medicine.
Exactly.
I need this
I got
medicine.
restless leg syndrome.
This
Can you please
medicine.
write me the prescription?
And the doctors, this is not what you need. You need to do this instead.
Yeah.
And they're like, give me the medicine, or I'm going to go find another doctor. So doctors like, and people will roll their eyes and say, maybe it's not the same thing. And we don't mean to imply that SEO and medicine are in the same value to society,
No.
but it's the same problem.
It's the idea of you need the diagnosis, not the prescription yet. And guess what? Maybe SEO is a fit for exactly what you need. But if I was going to give a word of advice, step back, stop approaching agencies talking about the channel, the prescription you need, and start talking about the problems that you're having and the outcomes that you want to achieve. And then let that lead the way and be the light that you're using to guide you in terms of what channel mix and everything else you need. Don't come in assuming you just need a certain channel, because believe me, the agencies at various price points are happy to fulfill your channel and budget with whatever it might be, even if it's not necessarily a great fit.
Right.
Not in every case, but in a lot of cases.
Now remind me, I don't know if if you mentioned this, I forgot, because we also want to protect the names of the parties involved. This is a personal injury firm that you talked to?
This firm they handled a couple of different categories, but
Okay.
in this case, the PI was the main focus, yes.
Okay. And they were, again, we don't want to put anybody on notice here. What kind of market were they in? Competitive market, middle of nowhere?
Not middle of nowhere, suburban market
Okay.
near a larger city.
Okay. And
Yeah.
they're 2.5 million top line, I think we said. So if we ballparked a
Yep.
250 total budget. This is why I bring this up, because here's my other big point on this. Sure. An investment in SEO, that might be part of your game plan. What percentage of your total budget is going to SEO? And that's the other problem that happens is people
Yes.
come in and they're like, I'm coming to hire you for SEO. And the agency's like, cool, we do that. Here's what we think it's going to cost to do SEO. And guess what? It's it's their entire resource allocation goes to SEO. So hopefully it's obvious what the problems are, but for those who it's not obvious for, I'm going to signal it out. Number one, SEO, it's a fickle beast. Google's changing all the time, especially right now,
Yeah.
whether
Yes.
it's AIOs, AI mode, not to mention that there's more fracturing of how people are doing information retrieval because now you've got ChatGPT and Perplexity, and people are doing searches on TikTok for lawyers. And so you're going to put all your eggs in one channel that's a channel that you have very little control over, that takes a long time, that is going to potentially change dramatically over the next days. Bad idea. We know it. Same
Yeah.
thing in investment, right?
Don't put all your eggs in that basket.
You don't put all your eggs in a single basket. This is why people invest in index ETFs, because it diversifies your risk across larger swaths of the
Yes.
market versus I'm going to put all my eggs in betting on Grok or something.
It's such a good point.
And number two, even if you're like, okay, I hear you, I'm going to go heavy on SEO. What percentage of the budget should it be? And for me, like I look at it in most firms, and I'm going to say something, and it's obvious. I feel like it should be less than 100%, so that's easy. 50% tops, maybe. And really, if you really wanted me to be more comfortable with it, I'd be like in 10%, 15% land, because of all the other ways that you can deploy marketing resources. And again, I'm an owner of a company that sells SEO, and I'm telling you that SEO should be a smaller part of your mix. Now, I think we should also disclose, we also do media management. We run ad campaigns. We do paid social campaigns. And certainly those things to me should be in the mix. Go ahead.
And I often say, I'll tell people that I'm agnostic on the channels. Like, I'm not coming in trying to solve your problem with the one channel Attorney Sync does. I think about it more holistically in terms of a lot of the points you mentioned. What kind of mix do we need? What kind of results and what kind of time frames? And then let's deploy the proper capital to those channels to make that happen, as opposed to solution to all your problems is an SEO campaign, and that's that. But you'll find that a lot out there. You'll find that a lot out there where that's what they do and that's what they're going to offer. Another point, just to this in particular, this particular case, is that I told him I thought, because a lot of how his intake and systems have been set up, they've been set up to work referrals, somewhat vetted leads, not a ton of volume, right? One of the things I talked about was it would be helpful to also deploy and think of strategies where you are, at the very least, getting some volume in to stress test and understand how those systems are working and capturing those things, instead of just deploying straight up into something that's going to be very long term and kind of hope for the best and not really be thinking about intake and how some of these things are playing with digital leads as opposed to just referral leads, because those are two different type of beasts in terms of how you're responding. Internet leads aren't just leaving the message and go get them. It's different than a referral coming in, right? Knowing how those things flow is really important before you're going all in on something that's very long term, right?
Totally. And I'm going to give a shout out to our friend Cassidy Lewis, who's the CMO at Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers, and also created the CMO Academy, which I just signed up for, and it's amazing. And let's talk about someone who's on the inside of a law firm that's talking about exactly this. The intake data must guide your marketing. If you don't start with intake, you're going to waste money. If you start with advertising, if you start with SEO, you're going to waste money. And to the other point that you made there is that if your intake isn't designed to be able to actually quote unquote work the leads or nurture prospective clients, if you prefer that language, from
Mhm.
their initial investigation all the way to a retainer, and do that in a way that's demonstrating value, uh, yeah, you're gonna spend a lot of money for exposure to something, to an audience that is likely going to lead to things like poor experience, negative reviews, the firm never responded to my calls. And so getting that in place first before you go and dump a bunch of money into advertising or marketing, I think is really informed. But yeah, we see it all the time. Again, and let's be completely blunt about this. One of the reasons that we do this, it's in our interest too. We've been doing this a long time. We know what happens. Even if we get you to rank for something, if you're not doing intake right, you're going to be like, it's not working. These
Not
leads
working.
stink. No one wants, the leads are broken. It's like, the leads aren't broken. Look at the queries that people are coming in on. Look at the keywords we're bidding on. Look at the intake, listen to the intake calls. These are people that you want. These are qualified leads. The problem is that you're not answering the phone. Or, and this is one of the
They're not leaving a
this
message.
is one of my favorite ones recently, is local services ads. I'll talk to a firm and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we're responding to the messages." I'll pop open their local services ads platform. It's 2 days later. 2 days later,
You're
and I'm looking,
toast.
and we just, again, just to give a plug to this Near Media partnership. One of the things that we talk about is response time and expectations of plaintiff personal injury potential clients for plaintiffs firms in response time. You don't have days, and for them,
Minutes.
for a local services ad, the messaging apparatus in a local services ads feels a lot more like an instant message or a text than it does
Text. Yep.
a call where it's there's calls, but I'm just saying for the message part in specific, you don't have days to respond to that. You don't even have hours. You're moving on.
Minutes. Minutes. If you
Yeah.
really want to give them a good experience.
And honestly, let's just be frank about it. It's real time. Like, people text, if you text a law firm, so you're in this interface, you submit a message, and and it's popping up as a text interface on your phone. Your expectation is that you're hearing back from them like right away. At the very least, you need an autoresponder that says, "Hey, someone will be with you shortly." But really, someone better hop in. That's why I'm going to give a plug to Juvo Leads. It's one of the things that they've solved for, and you see the
Yes, they have.
impact. You see the impact of that real time responding to message leads. And anyway, the understanding those expectations of potential client, and lawyers, they don't. It's to your point. We talk to lawyers all the time, and they're like, leave a voice message, or our office
Yeah.
policy is to get back to somebody within 24 hours. And I'm like, it's over. You've lost. You've already
It's broken.
lost.
And you paid so much for those. You paid so
Right.
much and put so much into it, and it's just on the floor through the cracks. And
It,
worst case is you see negative reviews and all kinds of kind of branch off type of issues from it. So
totally.
got
So
to
we
get that tight and then align it, yeah, with the right stuff.
so we beat up on everybody. So let's talk. Let's be constructive. Constructive is a core value for us at Attorney Sync. Let's talk about some constructive things that lawyers should be talking about when they're actually trying to decide about working. This is true even for your in-house teams or agency people. So let's talk about it in the context of agency. So you think you need some marketing of some. Actually, let's just use this specific example just to keep it focused. You go to a conference. You saw someone talk on SEO. You go to a mastermind. All your buddies are like, SEO is the best. We love SEO. It's free. You decide you're going to call up a marketing an SEO agency. What should you be asking instead of, can I buy your SEO?
I think a much better lead in is to think about the specific problems that you're encountering right now. Again, think diagnosis, not prescription. What information can you convey that helps to frame the problems that you're facing? Gather your data up, right? Know numbers. If you keep a spreadsheet or you have a CRM, what kind of case flow do you get right now? What are you looking to have happen in terms of growth with that? What kind of time frames are you operating under, right? Because certain strategies hit different time frames than other strategies. But think about the problems you have and where you want to get to instead of coming in trying to say, how much do you charge for this type of strategy? How much do you charge for this many words, right? Because you get down in the weeds of commoditizing all this stuff when if you're really looking for true guidance on it, right, and what the best way to deploy your capital and the type of strategies to achieve the outcomes, you can't just come in with prescriptions. And in particular, when you're talking to a lot of kind of sales level people at agencies, right? It can sometimes, not every case, but can be less of a consultative sale and more if you ask for something, they're just going to tell you the price of that something. Or they're going to ask you how much you're willing to spend and then give you that something at that price. But that sometimes can lead to a positive outcome, but a lot of times it leads to frustration because it's not actually doing what you wanted to do because you were asking for a prescription that didn't solve the actual problems that you had.
I'm going to give a prescription for this particular instance. So, PI, mostly PI firm, suburban community. You've built a $2.5 million firm on referrals. And you need more cases now. My prescription to you is to invest in advertising to your referral sources. This is the thing that we say this, and people like they don't gloss over it, but are you building custom? Do you have opt-in like lists of people with emails that have opted in to receive messaging from you that you can create a custom audience so that you're sending messaging to them across social platforms specifically to them? Have you invested in a CRM strategy that's constantly nurturing to stay top of mind with people? Are you checking in with them? Do you have it set up so that it's firing off, whether it's a birthday message, making stuff up here on the fly, but staying top of mind through birthday messages, check-ins, milestones in their lives, stuff like that? Because if you don't have those, like that's where you should be deploying resources now. Now, I say this stuff and people are like, oh, so you don't, that's right, I don't need an agency to do that. And I'm like, I don't know if you need an agency. But agencies should be talking to lawyers about this stuff. They should be saying things like, "Hey, we run media. We do paid media management. How about a campaign that is designed around advertising to your out-of-state PI lawyers, so other lawyers that have referred you cases in the past, with media behind it to remind them of, hey, I'm doing this thing. Your message around how you keep referral sources to date, success.
Yep.
One of the ones that I've seen recently that I really, this is how much we've paid out on referrals in the last year. These are how many cases that we have had successful outcomes for clients on from referrals. Again, what's a referral source care about? They want to make sure they're making a referral to the right firm that's going to give a great client experience. It's going to get a great result. They're capable, know what they're doing, and they're going to keep that firm informed, that referring firm informed throughout the process. That's a media campaign. Like you can buy media to promote that, and that's where I think an agency could support a lot.
Absolutely. It's like the digital supercharged mapping version of, in this case, a lot of what the firm had built in terms of their growth to begin with. But you can really extend that out and have it working beyond when you're just pounding the pavement or shaking the trees just with your own time. I think that's great. And that's frankly, I don't run into agencies talking about that much because they're trying to fulfill the prescriptions.
They're filling that non-brand direct response advertising prescription because that's what everybody thinks about. And we've talked about this before, and I think it's going to continue to be a thing. And again, we do performance marketing. We do non-brand direct response, both in terms of SEO and paid media. So I've just put that out there so people don't get confused. But you pay a premium for that, right? You're paying an increasing premium. The ad auction, the prices per clicks go up. It's more competitive, especially if you're in a major market with other firms that have tons of reviews and are making, we talk to firms all the time that are making $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month investments in SEO. And for those firms where, $500,000, $1 million a year for SEO represents 10% of their marketing budget,
That's the key.
But not when it's 80, 90, 100% of your marketing budget and you need cases today. This is why everybody hates agencies, because they don't have these conversations. They sign up with the agency, and 6 months in, they're like, where are all the cases? And the agency's, what are you talking about? I told you on day one that this is going to take time. You're a brand new site. You've never even had anything.
Right.
And lawyers, hey, you're doing a good job, but at the end of the day, this is not aligning with what my business objectives are. So have that business objective conversation up front so everybody's aligned on expectations and performance metrics and leading indicators, right? Because again, it's not I'll sign up and I'll talk to you in 12 months. Here's what you should be seeing as we go down this path. Here's the improvements you should be seeing. Here's the increased visibility, increased local pack. I always come back to this one, so I'm a broken record on it, but like you go into Search Console and you look at non-brand query visibility, impressions growing for your Google Business Profile tagged UTM. That's a great leading indicator that you're moving in the right direction from a non-brand performance SEO standpoint for local.
I was going to say, you're talking about more local SEO specific type of metrics to be aware of absent cases, right?
Yeah, and I think about this because I'm like, it's what you a lot of times, because even the agencies that are like, look, it takes a while, you're brand new, they're trying to tell them the right thing. They don't give them any, hey, these are the breadcrumbs that you should be seeing leading up to, we're actually headed in the right direction. Right. And so you see these lawyers that'll say, what again have you been doing the last 6 months, 8 months? Like, how do we know this is working? And the answer is to look at those leading indicators.
Definitely. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. We talk about this a lot. This idea of, I like the way you frame it, where it's like you come in looking for the specific prescription when you don't even know. You just don't even know. And I think agencies would do well to take a more consultative approach and ask these questions about what are you trying to do? Because it might turn out. And look, let's be real about it. There's going to be situations where the agency's not going to be the right fit. If you're SEO only, that's all you do is SEO, brand new firm, you need cases today, you got to be willing to lose that deal, because guess what's going to happen? They're going to be frustrated. They're going to be upset because it's
not aligned with what they need to have happen.
Exactly.
And it's not the fault of the agency per se and what they do, right? But it is a fault of you have to make sure that what they need to have happen, that the solving of their problems is aligned with what you're proposing to do. But that's why proper diagnosis, otherwise you're just writing the prescriptions and hoping for the best. And sometimes it works, and a bunch of times it doesn't work because it was the wrong prescription.
Jeff, thank you so much for sharing this conversation with us. And to all who are listening, thanks for taking the time. If you ever have any more specific questions about digital marketing for your law firm, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at Attorney Sync.
Great to talk with you, Keith.
Good talking with you, Jeff.